Tiny Virginia community is still searching for answers after the US Sun revealed disturbing new child sex crime charges against high school football coach Travis Turner, who disappeared last November before he could be questioned by investigators. Turner has yet to be found, but the US Sun's expose earlier this year revealed text messages obtained through court documents that are shedding more light on the case. I'm Steve Brenner, senior reporter from the US Sun, and today we're talking with parent Stephen Murray, who has been leading the charge for justice. He spoke to us about his desperation to see under-fire Principal Jared Chandler removed from his post to ensure the safety of future generations, and why a toxic culture of acceptance, which has shame-wise counted schools, must be stopped.
Can you just bring us up to speed of what has or what actually hasn't happened?
The case has been sealed right now, so there's no updates from law enforcement. There really is just it's open-ended. There's been no signs of him alive. There's been no signs of him dead. And as far as accountability goes, is with the investigation, there really has been none. The school board has and the superintendent have implemented some policies that many mothers and I in this county have been championing, and they have adopted 3 new policies, which we are happy to see, though I think the concern that a lot of us have, including myself and definitely the family of the victim, is the fact that current administration are not being held accountable for what is widely known as the way this situation was handled.
Can you just explain what those policies are?
Yeah, so the policies being implemented this year are a third-party system for basically an online portal to where students can anonymously enter information about anything they've experienced or anything that makes them uncomfortable or any behavior that they've witnessed or seen, heard, anything like that. And that will be monitored by a third party. So that was important for us that it was an independent arm taking care of that. Then the previous sexual harassment and grooming classes that administrators had to take was once every 3 years, and it was a virtual online program. And now that has been turned into a biannual in-person class that they have to take, which is super important for us. And the third, which was already kind of a part of their policies, but it's being implemented a little bit differently or a little bit more broadly now, is the communication between students and faculty is being monitored a little bit more. Aggressively isn't the right word, but a little bit. There are going to be tactics that they use that they haven't been implementing before.
So some positive moves, but I guess Union High School Principal Jared Chandler is still in charge, and I guess that rankles really badly with you, right?
For sure, yeah. With me personally, and quite a few people in the community. I mean, a lot of us are very aware of the mishandling of this case from the very beginning, and I think it's vital that people in positions of power, no matter what their position they hold, is that they follow the law and that they follow policy that has been written by the school board. And yeah, that was blatantly not followed by any way. And even I would say deeply mishandled, I mean, and almost intentionally so, in order to protect Travis Turner.
Has there been any contrition from him, from the principal or anyone that he works for? Has there been any mea culpa or any kind of coming together with the parents and other families to discuss this matter, or is he's just brushed it under the carpet and moved on as if nothing's happened?
Yeah, that's right, Stephen. That is the what happens here, that's exactly what's happened. Is I think people are really people in power are really just hoping that okay, we got a few policy changes, like the case is still sealed, like let's just move on to the new school year, let's just forget about it. And I'm definitely not someone that is willing to just let bygones be bygones when it comes to this issue.
And I guess your sentiments are shared by the rest of the families at the school as well, for the most part.
Oh yeah, I mean, the father of the victim is someone that I've spoken with, and he is, he says himself that he used to have a government job, and if he did anything remotely like this, or not even remotely like this, but didn't report something in the chain of command that was supposed to happen, he's like, I would lose my job. Like that was his experience for a few decades in his position. And he has vocalized this 2 times that I'm aware of at school board meetings, without saying names, with just saying, like, you all know what you have to do. Speaking to the school board, you all know what you have to do. You all know who needs to be held accountable here. So why don't you do your jobs? Because yeah, not only does the family of the victim, myself, but the support that I receive online for messages and direct messages and comments is people are really sick and tired of just the same old, where it's just like, oh yeah, well, nothing to see here. And yeah, some accountability would be great. And it's really important that men who hold positions of power understand that they are not, they don't get to just not be held accountable. Right.
How are the family doing?
I haven't spoken directly to them in a while. I spoke on the phone probably about a month ago, a little bit more. And, he's just, he doesn't think that anything really is going to change. And he's sad about that. But he thinks it's just, this is the way it is in this town. And, I just keep reminding him, like, look, I'm in this to help fight for your family. So I'm going to keep trying what I can do.
On the fact of the situation, like what actually happened to Turner. I mean, what are people saying at school, in the surrounding areas, in the town where you live? And what do people think has gone on? I mean, there were stories. Some stories. I remember we texted, didn't we, when stories think that he may be alive and all this kind of stuff. But is there any movement, any sight of him, or any tips that they may have found a body? Just nothing.
No, it's all speculation, honestly, Steve. Like, zero reports from any law enforcement, any acknowledgement. And I get it, because it's a sealed case right now. The victim is underage, and he's still a fugitive. So I get that. Yeah, I mean, it's all just hearsay and speculation. There's nothing there's no evidence of him being anywhere.
Which is bizarre. I just think keeps it. You seem tired. You've gone through this. We've been speaking for months now, and there's been no resolution. But I'm guessing that until they find a body, or he pops up, or the school do something, this is just going to go on and on and on, which is kind of unacceptable, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's totally unacceptable, and I think that's why too. Like, the accountability that people want to see is, sure, like, the Turner part is like pretty ridiculous that he can't be found anywhere, especially this long into it. But I think what's important for people is to see accountability by the other actors in this atrocity. So it's, that also, the longer that no one is held accountable, that also makes people tired and angry and frustrated with the system that we currently have.
And you don't seem that confident that anything's going to change, really, no matter the hard work and the work that you're doing, and I'm sure the other family's doing as well. It's the same old, I guess.
I remain a hopeful person. I'm not exactly sure. What I hope is happening is that within the investigation, there are certain administrators that are part of that investigation, and eventually something will come out about some type of accountability or reprimand or something. That's my hope. I don't know if I can't tell you if any of that's going on, but yeah, I mean, if it were just left to conversations like this and public pressure, I don't think anything would change. Like I thought there was going to be a lot more movement with the public, like with the spotlight that's happened on our little town. Like I figured like, yeah, like people's hubris and people's egos, they're big, but like with this much attention, I can imagine like someone would step down. And that hasn't happened, which I think I'm pretty shocked by. I'm like, wow, okay.
And I mean, the division superintendent for Wise County Public Schools, Mike Goforth, also was under pressure as well. And I'm assuming he's carried on with his role as is.
Yeah, his role as is, and that's he was a key part of us getting the policies put in place. Though his actions were helpful. He's buddies with the principal, like they grew up together. So, I feel like if the superintendent were to understand that what took place with our victim in being talked to without consent and without her parents present, like the superintendent would have a lot of sway with the school board to remove that individual who was in charge of that situation. But they're longtime friends. So
as I said, you seem tired and you seem kind of not over it, but it's draining, isn't it? It's draining for you. What is pushing you forward just to keep banging that drum and to keep wanting to try and find justice? I know you have a daughter does she still go to the school or?
Yeah, she's still going to the school. We're on summer break right now. Yeah, I mean, what keeps me driving is, it's a lot of things. This climate that we find ourselves in the United States, and I don't think this is a stretch, but with the Epstein files and with this kind of culture that I see an end to, like I really do. I see an end to this kind of patriarchal, toxic masculinity driven culture. I see an end to it in or at least a breaking point in my lifetime. And so if I can be a little bit a part of that change as someone who identifies as a cisgender white male with all the privilege in the world, like if I can be a part of helping bring justice, then that's what keeps me fighting, and keeps me hopeful. And yeah, I mean, for her too, I want her to feel safe in all the decisions she makes in her school. I want her friends to feel safe and that their teachers and coaches and staff that they see every day, like have their best interest at heart and in mind. I would like to see that one day. And, being tired, I could also say like if anyone's ever had a 3-year-old, that'll kick you. That'll kick your pretty good too.
It clearly is. But to find, I mean, we're both parents, so. But do you feel? Are you worried about your daughter going to school in this kind of culture? I'm sure other parents do. We all worry about our kids, but is the worry exacerbated because of everything we've been talking about?
It is to an extent. There is. We are very fortunate to have an incredibly intelligent and self-aware teenage daughter, and someone who is also extremely honest. And so, yeah, I mean, but the concern is always there. And I think what concerns me the most is the sweeping it under the rug and like the damage that does more to the long term, like the long-term effect that has on our kids is it demoralizes them, right? Like sometimes as adults, we think like, oh, these kids can't handle this. Well, guess what? Like this idolized coach has been missing for almost a year now. And the trauma from that is already great. But imagine what it's like for the kids who graduated and the kids who are about to graduate, and my daughter has 2 more years left in school. If none of this gets resolved, like the long-term effect, I think is what a lot of the adults that are bad actors in this right now are selfishly keeping from our kids, you know. And I think that's what my concern is like the longer that we just don't come to a conclusion, the effects that that'll have on this generation.
The people are still talking about it clearly when you go into the supermarket, when you're walking around town, walking your dog, whatever. People are still talking about it, right?
No, sure, yeah. I mean, and I get a lot of adulation and gratitude sent my way, and like that's not why I'm doing this, you know. I'm happy to be a spokesperson for people that don't feel safe or feel like they want to speak out. But it's very much on the forefront of people's minds, you know. It is. And at the same time, Steve, like though people are talking about it, people are also like, because they've experienced this kind of cultural abuse in this town, unfortunately, the first thing they say is like, yeah, well, nothing's going to get done about it, you know. But it's still talked about. It's still very much like an issue for people.
Sure. Okay. Well, listen, keep on fighting the fight. Get some sleep.
Thank you.
It was clear from speaking to Stephen just then just how much of a toll this situation has taken on him and the rest of the community. What was striking was how he's so committed to bringing down the people he believed had been complicit in allowing this distasteful situation to linger over Wise County and its school district, while the uncertainty over Turner's whereabouts casts a dark shadow which sadly shows no signs of becoming brighter anytime soon. To continue following this story, please head straight to the US Sun for more developments.